Hello there, welcome back to our Ilkhanate. Today we're going to dismember the mamluks. Last time we successfully beat them once, now I think we're going to carry out their destruction. We're actually ready to attack them right now. We have our CB, that being the CB Hegemony Prov, or take down Hegemony CB. The thing with this CB is that the war goal is to take Cairo, which we're probably not going to be able to do, but the cost of taking land is so cheap with this war goal, we kind of don't need to. I think our first war is going to be about taking all of their land up to Egypt. It'd be really nice if we could grab some of these northern Egyptian provinces, as that's where most of their wealth is centralized, like Alexandria here. Cairo, of course, is their main moneymaker, but if we could take any of these locations in northern Egypt, it would damage their economy. As we can see, this is where all of their highest value locations are. I think we're going to wait 1 month before we do attack though. We've got a parliament that's going to happen in a month, and we'll use that to call up even more levies. Let's wait that month. We'll now call the parliament. I guess we'll go for institute feudal levies. This doesn't help us much. It does strengthen heavy cavalry, but we don't have any. We're all light cavalry, right? I guess the morale's nice. So of course we'll ask for larger levies. We'll see if we can't pass this parliamentary issue as well. And now we need to wait another month for that to come into effect and for our levies to balloon. There, we're now at 26,000 levies. We could now accept a bunch of cultures like we did last time. One thing that's really annoying is because we're not the dominant Mongolian culture, we can't control our cultural opinion of cultures and their opinion of us. There we are. We'd need to conquer around, or produce, I suppose, an extra 40,000 Mongols for us to become the controller. It's one of the reasons why I did want to diverge my culture, but of course it's broken in this version, so I can't, which is sad. But I think we are going to accept a few more cultures just to bring our numbers up. It's going to push our cultural capacity way over the limit, which is going to reduce the efficiency of our cabinet. But that's more of a short-term issue, right? Now if we wait another month, our levies should increase to their maximum size. There we go, there's now 40,000 of us, and we're now going to declare war. We'll call everybody up. My instruction for our vassals is I'm going to tell them all to stick together. They usually don't attach to us if we tell them to stick together, but they usually stick together, which is good enough for me. So the Mamluks do have 200,000 soldiers, but we can hopefully match them. Let's look at what exactly we'd want from this war. We'd want, obviously, to take Cairo, but that's probably not going to happen. Instead, what would be great is just taking a lot of their territory in Egypt and the Holy Land. Something like this, I think, would be perfect for our goals. It would bring us right to the gates of Cairo. It would take all of their valuable provinces and locations in northern Egypt. It would increase our antagonism a tad though, but I don't think with anyone really relevant. I guess the Ottoman wouldn't like it, but we don't like them, so that's fine, really. And I mean, if the Mamluks are done in, there's nobody who can really defy us, right? This would fracture them a little bit. I'm not sure where the fracturing is. I guess here? Yeah, there was some fracturing there, but there's also some other fracturing. I guess, is this controlled by them? It is. So yeah, that would get rid of a bit of the fracturing. They're still fractured somewhere, but I think this might be fine. We'll see. We could even get more, because this isn't all of the war score. We could go for something like this, potentially. I'm intentionally ignoring their vassals. I don't want to waste war score annexing useless vassals, right? Their time will come. But let's fight this war first of all before we start thinking about our glorious gains. One of the advantages we have now is we've taken all the forts that were here, so at the very least the Mamluks are going to have to siege them down, giving us at least a chance to maybe jump on them. What I really like is for the Mamluks to come over to us, march through our lands, and get to this fort. This fort's quite an annoyance because of its location, so they'll definitely take attrition there, and it will make it easy for us to just jump them. Another thing we want to do is focus on fighting levy armies. We of course want to destroy their regulars where we can, but the levy armies are very weak, like these guys up here who've wandered in. So we should just be able to stack them with minimal losses. We want to avoid taking as many losses as we can while fighting in preparation for fighting the actual regulars. Ah, here we go. I was kind of hoping for something like this. They've kind of just spilled into our land with a bunch of levies. We should just be able to walk over and stack wipe a lot of these guys. So we'll head over and do just that. Ah, there were some regulars mixed in there as well. Not many though. They're at least captured. And I think that's done. We've just killed 90,000 of them with these few battles. Gives us 25 war score. Definitely nice. It looks like one of them managed to get quite deep into our territory though. We'll walk over and kill them. With the captured regulars, I think we'll just put them very deep within our country, send them off to Afghanistan. One thing I do like to do though is I do like to sell back their supply carts and camp followers, because they're not really of use militarily and they'll waste manpower replenishing them, which isn't a silver bullet that solves all our problems or anything, but any sort of drain on them feels helpful. We just grabbed a big stack of regulars that were low on morale, so we'll exile them deep into Afghanistan as well. The Mamluks aren't doing too great right now. There's only 100,000 of them left. They are starting to call up mercenaries though, but that's to be expected, right? In this day and age, mercenaries are a thing, so we do need to be a little careful. We don't want to just walk into an army of mercenaries and regulars. They have moved quite far into our territory though, so they will start to experience attrition, and the morale loss from moving through our lands should also help us get the opportunity to jump on them like that. I'd like to grab this stack here, just because their morale is so low they'll just immediately be stack wiped. There we go. There's only 84,000 of them left now. Most of them are roaming around in our land. A few of them are attacking the forts here. Are these levies or regulars? Looks like they're mainly levies. They have a few regulars mixed in, but we could definitely jump on them. It doesn't particularly matter to us if they do take the forts, because we can just liberate them almost immediately unless they assign some troops to guard them. But catching some enemy armies while they're sieging those forts is definitely beneficial. It'll also help to cut off the soldiers who are deep within our territory wandering around, though they have a connection here, so it won't fully cut them off. The Mamluks are pretty decimated right now. They still have a few armies roaming around. We'll see if we can't catch them. It'd be really nice if we could fully eliminate whatever troops they have. They'll probably just replace them with mercenaries, but damage is damage, right? Right, I think we've kind of done it. There's only 1,000 of them left, supposedly. They're definitely going to replace them, but we should think about maybe bringing this war to a close. Their war score is still quite high, simply because they've occupied a few provinces and because they've got the ticking war score. The main problem we're going to have now is actually sieging them down, right? We've obliterated their armies. The problem is actually breaking through and sieging these locations. We're not really built for sieging, being mainly like cavalry. One thing we could do is call up a bunch of mercenaries to bulk out our strength. It's definitely viable. We might even be able to get to Cairo. I don't think so though, because sure, we can call up mercenaries, but they'll do so as well. So first things first, let's liberate the land that they've occupied. Then we'll have a look-see about how they're feeling when it comes to making peace. I'd rather not drag out the war too long. We could fight, a death war and just try and take massive amounts of territory from them, but I think it's better to fight a smaller war, get what we want, and then potentially come back faster and sooner. Our vassals at least are beginning to move into the Mamluk land and occupy them. They might be able to get a few occupations down, which would be very nice. I'm actually a little surprised the Mamluks aren't reaching into their pockets and pulling out a load of mercenaries. Maybe they are having some economic trouble. I'm not sure I believe it though. The words economic trouble and the Mamluks don't tend to go together. Alright, a part of me is really saying, just call up some mercenaries, call up some cannons, just siege down these forts. The Mamluks aren't really fighting back at the moment, so we could, if we got a big mercenary army of mainly cannons and infantry, we could break through and reach Cairo. I just think it's too risky. If we want to make peace right now with our demands, basically all of the coast of the Mamluks, funnily enough, the main problem is they wouldn't accept this, obviously, and it leaves them fractured somewhere. I do wish I could see the fracturing. It would make planning this out much easier. I think it is these locations here that they consider being fractured. If we demanded just this wouldn't be fracturing, but of course that would fracture us, so we're never going to accept that. Potentially our vassals could go and siege things down behind us, which would help. Let's actually go step on a Mamluk fort and have a look-see at what it looks like to siege it. Well, this location isn't the best one. It's got city walls, which is reducing our siege ability by a bit. Our spy network, general administrative skill, and offensive is definitely helping though, but it is going to take a while to siege anything down. It actually looks like the Mamluks are calling up levies. This could be interesting. Let's see. They've brought another 50,000, or 44,000 I should say, into the fray, but these are levies, so as long as we pounce on them, we shouldn't have too many issues. Problem will be if they call up things that aren't levies amongst the levies and I don't notice them. It'd be very easy for them to hide regulars or mercenaries from my sight in that way. So let's wait a bit, let these levies come up. what we'd like to do is fully stack wipe them. Once that's done, we could think about maybe calling up some mercenaries and beginning sieging in earnest. But the thing about mercenaries is if they take casualties, those casualties are permanent. So if we did call up a bunch of cannons and they say got in a fight, even if they won, if they took any casualties, they're never going to replenish those. And cannons don't work if they take even a single casualty, because Paradox reintroduced that mechanic that they did patch out. So I guess it must be intentional. So with that in mind, we don't really want to have any cannons around in situations where they could take losses. It'd be really nice if our vassals went over and sieged things down. I mean, they are trying. The problem with vassals is they tend to do the old, we start sieging, then they immediately stop and wander off, which does get in the way. There's also potential the mamluks try and jump on them. Ooh, here's a mamluk army. Mainly levies, or entirely levies even. We'll kill them. There's another levy army just beyond that. I think we'll actually catch them before they jump on our vassals, which would be great. We don't really want them to stop our vassals sieging. If we then jump that other army that was down there, unfortunately they're going to catch some of our vassals that were here, but we should be able to catch them ourselves. Yep, there we go. I think there were some regulars mixed in amongst those guys though. Only one regiment though, it looks like. So not a colossal deal. We've basically dealt with that next wave of levies they've called up. They're actually not too far off accepting peace. If we could just get a few sieges in, we'd be about there. To be honest, if we just waited and our vassals completed the sieging of the Mamluk vassals that they're currently sieging down, we would be there. So maybe let's just chill out and wait. We'll keep an eye on the Mamluk numbers. We want to be aware if they decide to call up mercenaries or anything else despicable. And then we'll wait for our vassals to deliver the good news, I think. And there we go, I think. We've pushed the we've pushed the Mamluks to the point where they'll surrender. We'll take a little bit of money from them. Not that we need it. We've actually managed to stay in the black through this entire conflict. I actually thought we would end up going into debt a little, but it seems we managed to avoid it. We could bring down our diplo spending now that we don't need our vassals to help us. But let's take their entire coastland. This should damage them quite a bit because, as I mentioned, a lot of these provinces or locations here in northern Egypt is where the main Mamluk economy is. Cairo, of course, won't really be stopped by this though. Let's look at their current base tax. The current base tax is around 1,000. Let's make peace, annexing all this vast territory. And yes, I did forget to sell all the people we had captive before we made peace, but what are you going to do? The problem we are going to have now is Egyptians now make up the majority of our population. I think it's probably worth just accepting them right now. I don't think these numbers have updated, but it's definitely going to push us over our cultural capacity, but the Egyptians should make up for themselves, really, since there's so many of them. We're thinking about abandoning our acceptance of some of the other cultures that we've accepted. For now, let's wait for a monthly tick. We're about to have a revolt by the Shiite population as well, but we should be able to clean that up. If we now look at the Mamluks there, tax base has fallen to 400. Absolutely disgusting, right? And our base tax has risen to 900. But that's going to collapse as our control in these locations, you know, it's gonna reach 0, as it probably should be. We could throw down a local governor here, like say in Alexandria, but I do want to move my capital to Cairo, which would make a local government here kind of redundant, but we are going to build one. You know, we have the money, we might as well throw one down. Taking all that land has actually projected us all the way up to great power status. I'm not sure I want to be a great power. In fact, I really don't want to be a great power, because it means I won't be able to use the destroy hegemony CB on the Mamluks, although the main reason we probably have lost the CB is because the Mamluks have lost their status as the military hegemony. They should reclaim it because they do have the largest army. It's likely because we had a lot of their soldiers as our captives that they lost the status. One annoying thing that happened during the war is this nation here declared independence, but it didn't start a war, so they've just become independent from my land, and I wasn't able to do anything. So we'll have to hope we can clean them up. Shouldn't be too difficult, but it is annoying that land just escapes from my control without my consent. Aha, the Mamluks have reclaimed their status as military hegemony, so we now have access to the takedown hegemony CB. Our truce with them ends in 11 years, so in 11 years we'll jump them. We might be able to just fully annex them, I say cautiously, depending on how things go. We definitely want to take Cairo. I've actually been thinking about where I want our borders to end, and I'm thinking our borders should encompass Anatolia, the Caucasus, Persia, the Crescent, Arabia, and Egypt. Just a big Middle Eastern horde. Sounds good to me. Ooh, there goes our ruler. Killed by a wild animal. Lived to 57 though. He did preside over the conquest of Egypt, and his son is superior in basically every aspect, so he's a better ruler. It's pushed our legitimacy very low though. In fact, I think 35 is a little too low, right? That's definitely more than the 50 we should lose on our ruler's death. But oh well, we'll see if we can't avoid the disaster. We probably can't avoid it, but we may get lucky. At the very least, if the disaster does happen, we'll rather quickly gain back our legitimacy. One of the problems we are experiencing now is a bit of an economic collapse. I think we're actually going to go around turning off a lot of buildings. We have a bunch of armories that we've taken from the Mamluks here in northern Egypt, so we're just going to turn these off. That will reduce our building maintenance. We now have a lot of land that is of course outside of our control. It's driving up costs while not increasing our income. But that's just something we kind of have to accept. There, turning off those armories brought us close to being back in the black. We've also got all these marketplaces that are negatively impacting us. I guess let's turn them off. Problem is it might reduce our trade income, which we don't really want. But I mean, if we think about it, the amount of money we're making through trade is 30, and the cost of these marketplaces is 20. I guess we'll turn off these training fields as well. I don't think they're actually benefiting us, and it's not like we really need manpower at the moment. There, we're making money again. Excellent. We'll continue to improve our legitimacy or horde unity. It'd be really lucky if we were able to avoid the disaster. We'd need to get our horde unity but up to 60. So I don't think it's going to happen. But who knows, weirder things have happened. There's the succession crisis. We weren't able to avoid it, but that's not really a surprise. At the very least, we'll get quite a lot of horde unity during it, and there's also quite a few events that give stability. We might use the stability we gain from those events to start cutting down on the amount of cultures we've accepted. Ooh, and here's a nasty event. Kills off our ruler. Luckily, it doesn't cost us the legitimacy loss we normally experience when our rulers die, so it's not too bad. And in reality, having a younger ruler is somewhat better, even if our current successor isn't that better, because the longer they live, of course, the longer we'll do without having the succession crisis happen again. Although, we actually have the leader of the revolt, and he was our general who fought most of our wars, and he's quite good stat-wise, 100 admin. We could invite him to become our ruler. He is 35 though, so he won't live for an obscene amount of time. He has a son who is a prodigy though, so he might have an even better successor. I think we'll invite him. He did win the war with the Mamluks. He was the general who fought and won it for us, so no reason not to invite him to the throne. Right, we're about to have a revolt by the rival warlord. I was thinking, should we demolish the forts? Well, we can't right now, actually, because they've been taken over by the rebels. But I kind of wanted to keep these forts anyway, just because they're on our border with the Mamluks. We may need them in the future. So we'll let the rebels seize them for now. There we go, there's the revolt. The most annoying thing about this is it's going to stop us integrating, as the revolting land is all of our Egyptian territory. So we're going to have to delay our integration of those territories just for a little bit until we clean up the revolters. It also means the local governor I put down in Alexandria is probably exploded, or will explode over the next few moments, so that's also an annoyance. But there's nothing I can really do about it. At least with the loss of Egypt, our economy has unironically skyrocketed, because it's not being dragged down by those territories anymore. But I want my economy to skyrocket and have Egypt be a part of it. I want both. At the very least, this revolt is very weak. They might have pure levy cavalry like we do, but our regular cavalry should just be able to swipe them away. And then we can just go around liberating all the territory. There are events that sometimes happen that cause parts of our land to join the rebellion while the rebellion's going on, but those events are really nice because the rebellion isn't exactly strong. And we get 5 horde unity every time a territory joins the rebellion. And horde unity is of course what we want. The main problem is going to be our stability. It's gone quite low due to negative events, and we need to get it up to 25 in order to finish the disaster. Luckily, defeating the revolt every time it happens does give us some stability. We'll just have to hope we get lucky with some events, or maybe it's better to say we get lucky with not having horrible events that just push our stability down. Here's one of those events I was talking about. It'll give the rebellion control of all of these locations, but it'll give us a little horde unity, and we can just send someone over to re-liberate that territory. It's nothing more than an inconvenience, really. There we go, the rebellion is over. That gives us 20 horde unity and 7 stability. Not enough for us to end the disaster. I guess we could spend the horde unity before it comes in. I'm not sure if there's any privileges I want to hand out at this point, though. Oh, we want to hand out this, Abrahamic Communities. Decreases unrest by 10, increases heathen unity by 1, does reduce pop conversion speed by 100%, but we should have enough modifiers increasing it. Yes, we're increasing it by 46% at the moment. So in reality, it will only lead to a decrease of around 50%, and we're not too bothered. Most of our country is, of course, already Sunni, so it does make a big deal. It does upset the clergy a little, but you know. The clergy are usually at 100% happiness, so they can afford a little unhappiness. We could also get preserve local traditions. That would increase our heathen tolerance a little more. But as I said, most of our pops are already Sunni, so I'm not sure heathen tolerance even matters that much. And it would reduce our cultural influence, so we don't really want that. In fact, I don't think there's anything I really want to hand out here. So I guess we'll just let's hire a cabinet minister. 1, 2, and they'll push up to the 100 anyway. Then we'll complete thing. A new warlord will rise up though. Until we can successfully end the disaster, they're essentially just going to keep coming. They really are a minor nuisance though. We'll just have to hope we can get our stability high enough to stop their continued revolts. Let's go back to integrating the lands here in Egypt. Our truce ends with the Mamluks, I think, in 4 years, so let's look at them. Yep, it ends in 4 years in March. We can't fabricate the hegemony CB. Have they lost their status? I'm not actually seeing them in the list. They should actually be hegemony, I think. Or, no, they shouldn't be, but they're not on the list. Oh, they're no longer a great power. I guess we did a little too much damage to them the first time round, right? Maybe we should have taken less land from the Mamluks, because now they're no longer considered a great power. We can't use the beautiful hegemony CB on them. We'll have to do things the old-fashioned way, using our horde expansion CB, sadly. Ah well, it is what it is. Ooh, there goes our ruler, a negative event that kills him. That's too bad. He was very good. I was hoping he would live a long life. His son has just come of age. Unfortunately, he's not as good as his father. He's slightly better when it comes to mill, but he's vastly inferior when it comes to admin and slightly inferior when it comes to diplomacy. But we'll let him take charge. We won't invite the pretender to take the throne. We'll say, only over our rotting bodies. This will actually cause the pretender to revolt, which can be good as we can gain a little bit more stability from defeating him. We are still preparing mentally for our war with the Mamluks again. I feel like that next conflict should be fairly easy though. There we go, war over. This should be it. We actually got quite a few nice events during the revolt, which gave us stability, so we should have more than enough to just end the revolt outright. And I know what you're going to say, nice events in EU5? But yes, we did get some. And this event here will give us 12 anyway, so we'll press that. Disaster should end. Well, actually, we're going to have another civil war immediately by the Shiite rebels. We should be able to deal with them fairly easily, though. And then we can declare war on the Mamluks. In fact, we could declare war on the Mamluks right now. This feels a little strange, because I actually have my levies raised. I don't think we're supposed to be able to declare war in this situation. Maybe we should. Why waste time? There is a coalition against us that the Mamluks have joined, but it's only got these other nations and they're really not a concern, right? Let's declare war. Then we'll raise up our levies that haven't already been raised, the Egyptian ones. We now actually have quite a large levy army, even without raising up or calling for extra levies from parliaments. Between us and the Mamluks, things are definitely a lot closer, and it's not like them outnumbering us really helped them those last few times, right? This is a show superiority war, so we might be able to get them to capitulate. Our number one goal in this war, though, will be to take Cairo. It's about time the Horde had a capital worthy of its glory. Right, we're pretty much eviscerating the Mamluks. They really aren't doing too well at all. But now we're going to need to start sieging some stuff down in order to get our war score up above the 100 we need for them to capitulate. Since we've gained quite a lot of stability from finishing the disaster, I only actually had the event for finishing it just now, we're going to grab the next institution, specifically printing press. Pike and shot is good, but we still have our horse archers, so there isn't much reason for us to go off and research the next level of cavalry. So instead we'll grab printing press as discussed. There's a few things we want to grab here. We want to grab the tribal cultural identity, so we can grab dynastic lineage. That will help a little bit with the crown power. We of course want that speed of integration. We also want the extra cabinet seat. Basically we want it all. I think we'll go for the extra cabinet seat and the upgraded roads first of all. There we go, the Mamluks have capitulated. Pretty poor showing from them, honestly. To be fair, we gained a lot of occupations from occupying their allies, not them themselves. So that was pretty helpful. Speaking of allies, we could annex these guys up here. They are one of the nations who are still in the Ilkhanate. Or I guess actually we can't full annex them because we haven't taken this one fort. I guess we'll leave them for now then. We could always demand they demolish the forts, but I don't think they're a big enough threat that we need to do that. we'll just have them pay us money. Oh, and I guess we'll humiliate them as well. More importantly, the Mamluks. As discussed, we want Cairo. That's actually going to take up most of this war's war score, but we can take some more. In fact, could we take all of their Egyptian territory? No, it's going to be too expensive, but that's not truly shocking. Maybe we should just take Cairo and take nothing else? We are going to get a bit of antagonism, but does antagonism even really matter at this point? I mean, who could it be with that I would be concerned? Is there anyone? Not really. We're pretty much the strongest nation in the region. I guess maybe if the Europeans like France, Castile started getting involved, but even if they did, what could they even do to us? Nothing really. Alright then, so let's take Cairo, and I guess we'll take... Ooh, it's too bad we can't take all of this, but I guess we'll take this. We're again leaving the Mamluk vassals. I'd like to leave the Mamluk vassals, maybe we'll leave them entirely and just get them as for our own vassals when we annex the Mamluks. There we go, Cairo is now under our control. Beautiful, wonderful city that it is. We'd like to move our capital there. Problem is we can't do that until we core the province, and it needs to be a full core. Luckily we are accepting the Lower Egyptian culture, so all we need to do is core it. It's just that coring it is going to take, it's going to take a while. Coring usually takes a while anyway, but because of how built up and developed Cairo is, it's going to take even longer. 1517 according to this. I think that's a little too early, but we'll see. If we're lucky, we'll get the parliamentary issue that lets us integrate land faster. Very much an if we're lucky though. In the meantime, with the Mamluks pretty much destroyed, their tax base is only 200 now. Have we actually surpassed them? Yeah, well, our tax base is 500. To be fair, a lot of this is from land that, control is about to collapse in because it's not our cores, and we have no control there, like Cairo itself. But I'll say we've surpassed them, and I won't check again. That way I'll never get to see the numbers flatlining again. But with the Mamluks humbled, we could definitely focus elsewhere, for example, going on and forming the Ilkhanate, remember that? We control pretty much all the Ilkhanate territory, it's in the hands of our vassals. We're slowly but surely integrating them, but if we want to speed things up a little, we could just release them and annex them, which I think we'll start doing. As always, we'll need to keep an eye on our economy. Since a majority of our country is still not cored, taking more and more land, of course, has big downsides. Alright, it's about time for our next war with the Mamluks. We haven't really been doing much, just chilling out, trying to core this area. It's taking a while. We're getting there though. Alexandria should be cored next year, in fact. Cairo is what's going to take a while though, but we are getting there. Yep, there's Alexandria cored, excellent. It's not going to do much for us in the short term. I guess we'll gain 20 control there. But once we move to Cairo, we'll be able to enjoy the fruits of our labour. Maybe not our labour, but someone's labour, once we head over to Cairo. Alright, time for more Mamluk abuse. As always, should be a fairly simple conflict now. The Mamluks can't really do anything, I think, to oppose us. Even if they wanted to call up hundreds of mercenaries, they probably can't afford to now. Here's a question. Could we annex the Mamluks in this war? I think it's going to be close. We're definitely going to bring them to the brink, as it were. But it doesn't look like we'll be able to get a full annexation. Oh well, it's not like we really need one. This should be the war before the final war with the Mamluks, though. During the next war, we should full annex them. And permanently remove them from my sight. Something that is quite rare, because the Mamluks tend to get everywhere, it's hard to fully kill them. So I'll jump for joy at the opportunity now. Looks like the Mamluks are just going to wander in and siege our forts. That's excellent. There's already only 50,000 of them in the war, plus vassals. In fact, I think we just got most of them. Yeah, there's only 14,000 left somewhere. And looks like they're up here. So we'll just deal with them. I guess we could just capitulate them in this war. I wasn't really thinking we would, because I wasn't thinking we'd need to. But since the opportunity is there, there's not much reason not to, right? Ah, there we go. Cairo's been integrated, finally. A part of me kind of feels like ending the war right now so we can just begin moving our capital. But we're so close to that 100%. Is it actually worth it though? It's not like they're going to refuse our demands. Let's see. What do we want? I guess let's take all of their territory here. Like this. I think this might actually be fine. In the next war, we'll of course focus on integrating the Mamluks. I guess we could take a little bit more land here. Nah, it's too expensive. And it's not a matter of them capitulating. I guess we'll take an extra 400 gold. There, the Mamluks are very reduced now. They're just this tiny little bit of land in southern Egypt. Let's begin moving our capital over to Cairo. It's going to take 247 days, which honestly isn't too long. It's about a year. Once that's done, we can enjoy living in the lap of luxury that is Cairo. We'll of course have to wait a little bit for our control to increase once we reach the city, but I don't feel like it should take too long. Our local governors may collapse and explode though because they're being cut off from our previous capital in Iraq. We'll need to think about where we're going to place our local governors now once Cairo is our capital. And there we go, Cairo is now our capital. It should immediately, or actually, it will quickly tick up to 100 control due to being our capital, and the locations around it will also begin to tick up relatively quickly due to their proximity to such a location. And then the money is just going to roll in, just like it does for the Mamluks. Now that we have the Cairo monies, and the Mamluks are very much a thing of the past, shall we say, I think it's time that we bring all of our vassals to heel, violently. We've allowed them to retain their independence as they were supporting us against the Mamluks, but now we don't really need them. We can call up so many levies now from our Egyptian territories that we can easily field nearly 100,000 light cavalry at the click of our fingers, and we can probably afford to hold all of this land uncored. And since we now have 4 cabinet seats, we're actually coring at maybe not a fast rate. Let's check that core map mode. It doesn't look great, obviously, but we've cored a lot of important territory, such as the Egyptian one. We of course still have our cores in Iraq, but I think we're doing pretty good now. Maybe that's all just some sort of coping mechanism, but I think we can probably absorb the impact of having all of this land not be cored. So we're going to begin thinking about conquering them. One of the problems will be on vassals that are also hordes. We probably can't get a CB on them unless they're of the wrong religion, which a few of them are. What we may do is keep those guys as our vassals, use parliamentary CBs to attack them. For the ones that are part of the Ilkhanate, of course, we can use our Unify the Ilkhanate CB. And for the ones we have that aren't hordes, we just need to get a border, then we can use our expansion CB. But I think we'll clean all of them up next time. For now, we've completed our goal of destroying the Mamluks. They are very much destroyed. One more war and we'll annex them. For now, they can just eke out their existence in the southern Egypt, crying and sobbing as they're wont to as they wait for their destruction. But as I said, I think we'll leave it here. Let's look at our nation if we take all of our vassals into account. Yep, nice and brown. There's a few nations here like this guy that broke off from me with a revolt that didn't actually trigger a revolt. And I've just been too lazy to deal with him. There's also this one over here that did the same thing. And these guys here that did the same thing. I'm not sure if this is a horde problem. If for some reason as a horde, nations break off but don't trigger revolts. It's definitely strange. But eventually, we'll reach a point where we're so big and strong revolts kind of don't happen. Speaking of which, our local governors did explode, so we'll need to think about where to build them. I think we'll build one back in Iraq, probably here in Baghdad. Then I think we'll build one up in Aleppo. It's a pretty nice location and will help us gain control in these northern states. We definitely want to gain control in Homs up here. Very valuable location. Too bad it's not a city. We do only have 2 local governors. We'll need to reach empireship to get a third one. Becoming an empire shouldn't be too difficult for us. We actually meet all of the criteria. We just have this block because we're part of the Ilkhanate. Unfortunately, becoming the Ilkhanate doesn't actually buff us up to an empire. It probably should, right? But alas, we'll have to do it ourselves once we form the Ilkhanate. But either way, enough rambling from me. I'll thank you for watching. I'll hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time.